I think it's a big deal for Rwanda to be the 29th easiest place to do business in the world, because among the top 50 countries in the world, Rwanda is the only low-income country, which means that we've kind of defied what the norm is, which is richer countries doing better in terms of business environment. And I think Rwanda has demonstrated that even a low-income country can aim high and do well if it really focuses on that. But for Rwanda specifically, I think it demonstrates what is a story that is being written about our country, which story is about one for ambition, one that has strong leadership, one that has defied the history that has been very disadvantaged, to claim a place in the world and to claim that we can actually have an ambition and implement it, and when you do that, you actually do well. So I think that is really a story that Rwanda is writing, and this performance of the Doing Business report is just one angle to look at that.
Cool. So we saw again Rwanda there as the top performer for 2019 business report, but also coming in when you look at the top 50, only Rwanda and Mauritius are in the top 50 in the whole world, and only Rwanda improved. Of course, meaning that Mauritius didn't necessarily improve, but remained where they were, or maybe did something, but Rwanda improved a lot better. Tell me, what did you do differently from any other economy in Africa for a start?
First of all, I must say that I want to congratulate Mauritius, because we've been reforming our economy for the last 10 years, and it is a country in Africa to look up to. It's been Mauritius. They work very hard as well. And so for Rwanda, the fact that we were not only one of the top performers this year, we've been one of the top performers for many, many times in the past 10 years. It wasn't the first time that we were. But I think that is not the real story. I think what I find the really interesting story about that is that in the history of the World Bank Doing Business report, no country has improved as much as Rwanda over the last 15 or so years. And so Rwanda has been consistent. I think that is the conclusion. Rwanda has been consistent, but Rwanda has also been really ambitious. Our president always challenges us as a country and as a citizenry to aim high. You know, if you aim at being the top 10 in the world, it sounds crazy, but if you really work hard towards the top 10, you'll be 29, you know? And that's really the philosophy behind our government. And I think that it's really because of having ambitions. And when you have an ambition, you become very bold about implementing them. And let me give you a few examples. Rwanda fully automated the process of registering businesses. You'd think that's impossible because the country is not 100% on internet. So you'd ask yourself, how can a country that is not fully on internet, with a lot of rural areas, make...
We have 4G 100% rolled out.
Yes, but it's not in every last mile.
Okay.
But it is very good infrastructure, actually, because the way we've been able to achieve universal automation of company registration is because we've put centers around the country using the broadband infrastructure that has been built, so people can go closer to their homes, to service points, and get their companies registered. And so there are ways you can work around specific challenges to actually achieve an ambition. And I think that's one example of a country that doesn't have universal access to internet yet. We're working very hard towards that. Can actually make it fully automated, which I think is what we've done.
Claire, of course, we were looking at, again, this report that indicates that getting credit or access to credit increased. It's one of actually the most improved when you look at the indicators, all the indicators. But we're still looking at rather a banking sector that has had a not so much good year market-wise, not bank per bank, but when you look at the market, yeah? And we saw that loans dropped by 50%. Tell me, what is being done differently? What are we looking at moving forward?
Well, first of all, the Doing Business report looks at the ease of getting credit. Yeah. So specifically, how easy is it in terms of the legal framework, but also how easy is it in terms of both people applying for credit or companies applying for credit and the banks that are giving credit to find information on your credit worthiness, and there are many indicators that look at that. So we've really improved on that, and Rwanda ranks the third in the ease of getting credit. Now, of course, on the market, sometimes you have the level of private sector credit growing, and sometimes you have it less than the year before. I think that's a market trend that speaks to a lot of macroeconomic issues beyond the doing business report. And but I must say that when it's easy to do business, like it is for getting credit, then it's easier to access borrowing on banks as well. So there is a correlation, and we shall see that over the long term.
We've seen a lot of reforms happening for the past 10 years. What do we have moving forward? I understand you're working on doing business 2020. So what is being worked on currently so that we can hit all the targets that are being set out for that particular time?
So we just launched our action plan for 2020 this afternoon, and the plan has improvement in all the indicators. We want to improve in all the indicators, but we want to focus on two elements of it. One is where Rwanda is still not doing well. Construction permit is one of them, resolving insolvency and enforcing contracts. We still are not among the top 50. We would like to be among the top 50 in every indicator if we could. So we're still not there. So those areas where we're not doing that well, we want to focus, work very hard to improve them. And construction permits in particular, we want to look at the steps and procedures. We want to reduce them, and we want to reduce the steps and procedures that are expensive because they're costly to the person or company applying. So we're going to focus on that. Resolving insolvency, we want to look at when a company becomes insolvent, instead of going to the last resort of liquidating, where you get whatever the market can give you, you can actually find more companies actually restructuring and reinventing their will, so that instead of going under, they can actually recover and grow their businesses. So we're looking at those kinds of reorganization opportunities. And of course, also enforcing contracts, really improving how courts administer contracts that are being implemented. And so we're going to focus on those three areas that we're not doing well.